Can you hear me now? Add. There you are.
There I am. Whoa.
There you are. So that's good. So let's see.
A
Oh, we
little
got
light
the
here.
Richard Paul thing on there. Hold on.
Oh, it's the screen behind me. Okay. See, I think that might be better.
All right. So I'm going to change this part and put it on the top. Paste. Oops. Helps if I turn it on. Because for some reason, see the Rich and Paul on the bottom here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that. And we got this done. And we're live actually right now, which is really interesting. I didn't know it turned on. So guess what? We're going to start the introduction now because you've just welcomed to the gag reel again. Our wonderful audience is watching us, and there are actually quite a few people that watch us. It's pretty interesting. All right, so we've just set this up. We're going to leave Rich and Paul on the bottom. Red parts aren't on the top. We're good. So those of you are watching, there is a production quality that's involved in doing this. It's like the law. You have to put it into law to make it work. And that's something interesting. So we're going to do the introduction now. I'm Reverend Rich, and this is
Reverend Paul.
So let's do our introduction now. And we're live. Welcome to the prayers radio. I'm Reverend Rich, and you're
Reverend Paul.
So we have a good time. We actually this prayers radio show is about having conversations about science of mind, and why do we have this stuff? Because it's the conversations never had. It's just like, well, you believe in this and it's there, and you're gonna eventually get it in your brain, and what do you think, Paul?
I think it's important to know that people are always at choice wherever they are, and they can change where they are by the different choices that they have.
Choice is very, very, very important. One of the things that we always talk about in science. See, I forgot something here. Okay, so I'm cleaning it up, fixing it, and then I think I said, okay, hold on. Okay, all right. This is always a production, and those of you that ever try to do this, it's a lot of work, but it's fun. All right, I got it. I got the other recording going because last time in show 4 we had the Max Headroom. You remember Max Headroom? Like that was years ago.
Oh yeah, way back, like 1980s.
Like that. He just wig out and stuff. It's sort of like watching, when you're streaming a video and half the video doesn't come through, and you're like, bad bandwidth type of thing. So we're not going to apologize for that because that was done on purpose just to test you to see if you're watching. And apparently, quite a few of you did watch on the different channels we're at, because we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're also on, what's that other one called? Twitch. Actually, I posted it on Twitch recently. So we're actually broadcasting out to Twitch today. Hello to our Twitch audience, because I know there's a few that actually said, hey, this is cool. But that's some of the good stuff that we have going on. What were we going to talk about today? I think about, I did a video on love, I think, recently, and you did a video. What was that latest video that you did on your site?
Probably an Ernest Holmes quote.
Oh, that was right. Do you remember what that quote was?
I don't. I've made so many of them.
I know. We were talking before the show, and actually, you might even get it in the gag reel. Well, we're like, well, no, we're not going to have the books in front of us. We're going to have a conversation like you would, if you're talking about science of mind and what's going on. So love and law. Love is one of the verities that we have. What are the seven verities? Love, light, life, peace, beauty, joy, truth. There's no opposite to them. What do you think? We
There's no
talked about,
opposite.
yeah, we talked about the, I think it's show number 2 or 3 that we said, well, there is an opposite, love, hate, this type of thing. But when you put it into the law, it sort of just overrides everything, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. A lot of the videos that you see and a lot of the information that you get. I mean, how many books did Holmes write? I mean, you do a lot of that stuff.
Oh, I don't have I have a lot, but I don't have them all. And not only
Well,
the books that he wrote, but books that were written for him after his transition of all the material that he never published himself.
that's sort of a trip. Yeah, that's you hear that about a lot of different authors like Da Vinci and stuff had books that he had published afterwards that I guess the Vatican, for good reason or not, I don't really know, I'm not them, but they decided they would hide that stuff because it didn't make any sense that you were showing there were extra planets out in the universe and their solar system and this and that, because they wanted to ground themselves in a specific dogma or creed or whatever you have it. I'm not going to, it's not ours to judge. It's just ours to use the philosophies and apply it. What do you think on that?
Yeah, that doesn't apply to the science of mind because they were just things that they're just now finding that Ernest Holmes wrote or had in his journals. So that's
Right.
why it's coming to the surface because we're finding them now.
That's sort of trippy. It's like the Tesla files. You hear about the Tesla files all the time. Oh, the hidden Tesla files. And you read about all this other stuff, how other people got involved, and our current president's uncle was over with Tesla and this and that. And you're like, okay, what does that mean to me? So I bring this back to science of mind. What does this mean to us that we're getting these extra things? Because I don't know about you, but I've written a couple of things, a couple of books and things like that I have sitting there ready to go. But I don't know if I want to put them out to the public.
Why is that?
Well, I just don't think the time is right. The science of mind one that I wrote, which is about prayer and applying prayer. I have it ready to go. I have the cover. I have the IBSN. I have all this stuff. I've done the steps and stuff, but just something inside me says, no, not right now, soon. But I'm like, well, is it tomorrow? Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow.
And then you realize, is it your head talking or is it your heart talking?
Define that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, a lot of times we have ego. Like let's say I wrote a book and
Right.
I'm really excited about this book, but I'm a little nervous that people are going to respond to it in a negative way or in a way that I'm not comfortable with. So I may put my ego in charge and not put it out there for people. But yet, if I write another book and I'm spiritually involved in it, I'm getting these hits. I call them hits, these downloads of spirit to publish it. There's nothing stopping me. The inspiration behind me is so powerful that there's nothing to stop me from publishing this.
Isn't that just like about most things? Is that we sit there and we get up to the gate and we just don't cross the threshold.
It's probably most things except for prayer, the spiritual mind treatment, because that's when we get inspired. That's when we know our oneness with everything around us, and there's no
Oh,
stopping that divine energy flowing through us.
well, that was well said.
Oh, thank you.
It does. It's funny. Anybody that we're not exempt as reverends is people that study this philosophy. That a lot of times I sit there and I go, man, what's this feeling that's going on in me? What's this thought? And then of course I ask it. They use the Bible quote, test the spirit in all things, test your own mind, where's that coming from, and ask it, where are you coming from? And I think we said this in a previous show, but sometimes you have to call another practitioner or reverend just to say, I need you to hold this for me. I need you to hold this for me. I need to just this is just something that's bothering me, and it doesn't make any sense to me. And you do your own prayer work first, because
Mhm.
your prayer is for yourself and it comes inside of you. The time, what are your thoughts on actually calling another prayer practitioner for that, to hold that prayer, that thought?
Well, we're not actually holding anything. We're knowing for them. So if I'm having a difficulty of knowing a truth for myself, I'll call a prayer practitioner who are reverends, who are practitioners in our philosophy, to know the truth for me when I can't know it for myself. And you're a good
Yeah,
example of that. A lot of times I got in my head with some stuff and I wasn't able to get through it. And I called you up. We went into prayer. And for you knowing it for me was enough to clear it up for myself.
and these are the questions that you're going to ask yourself and stuff when you're doing prayer. This is why we're having these conversations. Uh, I had a I teach some other things, other types of I'm computer science and astrology and all this other stuff. And sometimes in the old style of teaching, we would put out, well, what do you think? I think this. What do you think? And then you hope that the student or the person that you're talking to says, oh, no, that's not right. But a lot of times they'll agree with me, or they'll say, no, I'm out of here. They don't ask the question. And you and I ask questions of this stuff. You and I ask questions of this.
Mm.
Why is it this way? Why does it work this way? Don't just take our word for anything that we're saying here. Try it for yourself. Try it for yourself, and then if it doesn't work, try it again. And if you need to take some classes or give us a call, because we are available, on our sites, which mine's Prayers Radio and yours is I am.
Spiritalive.com.
See, there's our plug right there. But the thing that you need to realize is that you have to ask somebody if you don't know. The question needs to be asked. If you're not getting it internally where it's coming out positive, because sometimes things don't come out of your mind that you don't want to react and go and and we're not exempt. I mean, I don't think you're exempt from that. That knee jerk moment, you step back and you go, no, 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 let's come from a place of peace. What are your thoughts? Does that happen to you?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Okay, so we're not exempt.
We're not exempt, but when we're called to know more, we're called to do more. So
Ooh.
we're in this philosophy that we're knowing more about ourselves and how this works. Now we're called on to use it more. You can't just know it and not use it. We're called to use it. And in our philosophy, we don't teach you what to think. We teach you how to think, how to use a law of mind, that infinite law that only says yes, how to use that for your highest good.
That's always something that was interesting. I mean, you were raised Catholic. I was raised Christian, and well, actually, I was raised Science of Mind later on in my high school years. But the thing that we need to look at is that you have to get over those different dogmas in your mind that say that you have to go to some external person to do that. Because at the end of the day, when you're laying there in bed or you're sitting there with your own mind, who's there?
Hmm.
You. You're
And I
the
don't
only.
think there's a part about getting over anything. And for me, personally, it's about integrating it in me.
Okay.
I have all
Well,
these little facets. Like I was brought up in Catholicism. My mom was Irish Catholic. I mean, that's like the Catholic of Catholics. And so I was raised with that. And there's things, part of it that I grew out of, but there's still part of it that's intrinsic in me. So we don't get over things, we incorporate them in. There was an expression I heard the minister this Sunday, and she said, is there anything you regret in your life that brought you to this point?
mm,
And I was thinking of it, and there's nothing I regret because I'm happy, I'm whole where I am now. And if I regretted anything and changed it, I would change where I am right here. And that's our teaching too, to be comfortable with who you are and knowing that you're at choice to change it in any second, any moment.
there's a we pull from other philosophies also. There's a thing where you pull in the information and it locks in your mind. I'm not going to say the philosophy that teaches this because it's a little different. You get what's called a lock in your mind, but I do acknowledge them. So you get a lock in your mind and it stays there. Now, those of you that do hypnosis and types of mind treatments where you help people do the eye movements or things like that. You lock those things in your brain, and they're there sometimes to protect you. Now, where am I going with this? Is that when we're growing up in these different philosophies, they're sort of a protection mechanism that oh, this is always the way we've done this. This is always the way it's going to be. And until we, to use a Christian phrase, get off the milk and start eating the solid food, we're not going to grow as individuals. We're not going to become the best version of ourselves that we want to be. And in our philosophy, what happens is we take in, we can only know as much as we know in our in any philosophy. You're stuck here. This is remember the looking window we had a couple shows ago. You can only know about as much as inside of here, right? But when you step outside yourself and get a little bit braver, you actually get more knowledge, and so your world expands, and then you're able to see more and more and more. And that goes inside of our minds and allows us to be more. So if you're thinking that you should just stay stagnant, turn the wheel at the factory, turn the wheel at the factory, then that's great. But you need to learn. I'm suggesting, I'm not telling you what to do. You can do your own research, that you have to grow more to be more. Would you agree with that?
Oh,
You
completely.
Oh yeah,
And as we grow, we are more. We become more.
and the question I always ask myself is, more of what? What am I going to become? Am I going to be some, the old saying, the guy saying, well, I got to live in poverty and this and that. God does not. God sees you whatever you see yourself as. Would you agree with that?
Well, we are in essence God because we're individualizations of that one power.
And define that a little bit deeper for our folks that think that you just called yourself God.
Well, even Ernest Holmes said it, our founder, that we are all the unique qualities of the first cause, God, spirit, whatever we name that first cause, that intelligence that is beyond us. It brought us into this life, and we are the representation of it. It's working through us. It's enjoying itself through who each person is. And each person is unique as a snowflake, as a fingerprint, that there's never another Rich here in this world, that you are so unique that you have your own thing to do here. And that's what we're finding out as we grow, as we go into our spiritual practices of meditation, of affirmation. We're finding that out, what it is in us that we need to grow. And then we want to grow. It's a choice. Like, how do you want to feel?
That's that individualization of yourself, that individualization which makes you an individualized person, which makes you part of God. The way I've always understood it is that three things. One, what did God not create? What did the universe not birth? Two, we're all in the same bowl of soup. I've said that before, like pea soup, there's little pieces and parts in there. Well, it actually sounds good for lunch.
Well,
So,
think of the alphabet soup.
there you go.
There's an infinite array of words, of stories in that soup, and each person is that soup.
So how does all this deal with love, since we're using alphabet?
Well, love is a feeling. There's
Okay.
law which says yes, it's always affirming what we're thinking and feeling into it, and we're always at choice to think differently to get a different result. But then there's a
Right.
love, which is that feeling that like a mom coming to you, wrapping her arms around you, that feeling of love. And
You
it's
said
personal
mob
to
or
each
mom?
person out there. Sorry?
You said mob or mom?
Mom.
Yeah, it's like, what?
And that feeling is personal to each person out there. Each person has their own feeling of it. And
Hmm.
that's that uniqueness that we have inside of ourselves, that individualization of that one comes through as that feeling.
Hmm. And that feeling is different for each and every individual. What you call love may be something different to me or you, but it's a feeling that warm blanket on a cold day that it's around you.
Mm.
You're going to have to interpret what that feeling of love is. There's an old Beatles song, "Can't Buy Me Love," but you can rent a lot. But it's all the definition, and I say that with the premise of that is that it's all a matter of how you interpret it, how you interpret love to be. If you don't know love, maybe try holding a puppy or something that just or having a cat. I had a cat that recently passed, and you've had a few fur babies that that passed, and we all have, and it's just like their family.
Yeah, that's that
That's
unconditional love.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That now love never dies. It's always there. So the thing that we should probably take away with love is that it's exact, it's coherent, and it's always available to us. Just call up or do something that you love doing that's positive, right?
And love is never conditional. If someone has a condition on love, it's not really love.
What do you define as condition?
Do this and I will love you for it. That's a condition.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, that
Instead of
needs to
just
be.
loving that person for who they are. That's unconditional. So there's no such thing as conditional love because that's not love. Love is not conditional at all.
That's deep.
Like
Uh,
a person driving a car in, let's say,
okay.
rush hour, road rage. They're
Oh,
not expressing or showing their love, but I can still have love for them for knowing who they are.
right, right, right. That's something that's very important. Because even if you're at work or something, you're at a place of work or a place of anywhere. Uh, you might see somebody that may resonate with you as is I just don't like that person. I just don't blah blah. And then no, that's a preconceived notion. I mean, I've met some of the probably the most evil looking people in your life that you could ever imagine, but they're the nicest people in the world. A good example, I put these uh, pull-ons for tattoos, and because I was out in the sun all day and I didn't want my arms to get burnt like nobody's business. And those of I'm in California and I'm not going to burn that much, but I don't want to get the sunburn when I'm out there working on the garden or doing something. And so I put these tats on. So I went to the store to go get a few things, and I got these people looking at my stuff, and they're looking like, man, that's some good looking ink. Because these things, they don't even look; they look real, right?
Mhm.
And I go, can may I ask you what are you looking at? He says, man, I'm looking at your ink. And I said, oh, these are fake. He says, man, they look real. And I said, well, and of course I complimented him on his ink because he had bunch of tattoo, beautiful art. Not for me, I don't really like to get tattoos, but for other people, they look fantastic. I mean, I've seen you've seen some beautiful artwork. You're in San Francisco. I mean, there's some beautiful artwork on people. You're like, wow. You mind if I sit here and stare a little bit? Why? Because you're like a museum. You've got the pictures on you. But that's what they love to do with themselves, and they're expressing the love that they have into the world, and they're trying to share it with other people, and it's cool. It's because people express themselves and share themselves different way. I got an older friend that has purple hair. She's probably watching this, so hi. Yeah, but that's somebody expressing themselves. They're sharing who they are. They're sharing the love that they have for themselves, for this world, and for being around you because they're showing it to you, saying, "Hey, this is me. I'm having a good time." What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they're also sharing their uniqueness with you. The uniqueness of who they are, they're expressing through what they do.
Exactly.
And how many times do we see something that sets us a little off and we're judging? We may not think we're judging, but we are judging them. And that's when you come back to center to know the truth for them and yourself that we are all one. My
Well,
grandmother, I had a Polish grandmother growing up, and she was amazing. And she was very disciplinarian, so she would discipline us all the time about things. And sometimes it got really bad, and she would pull us aside and she goes, I'm never going to stop loving you. What you're doing at this point, I don't love. but you as a person, I will always love. And that was huge. I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But just remember that story of her just knowing that warmth is always there no matter what I did. She might reprimand me on it, but she still loves me. And that's our philosophy. This universal presence out there, which is love, which is good. As Ernest Holmes said, there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are. And this is what we're talking about.
And one of the things we should bring up is one of the conversations that you and I had during the week was the one what is it, one in presence is a majority, or what is that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. One
So
with the one in unison with the infinite is a majority.
exactly. So if you make up your mind that something is so, guess what? It is in your
Mm.
world and in your mind. Nobody else has that opportunity to do that. You can change your mind on anything. And you being the majority, if you I've decided this, it's mine, this is the way it is, then that's how it works. It's you. One in conscious, that's it. One in
One
consciousness is the
consciousness with the
majority.
infinite, right?
Is a majority, and that is something so important to realize and keep with you. And everything that comes from you is a decision. Now we always have that thing where we just speak out of turn, speak without thinking, as you call it.
Mm.
I do that. Every, and then you might do that. I mean, it happens, but you have to step back and always think before you speak. And
And remember, there's that internal dialogue too, and that's as important. What are we going around saying to ourselves all the time? And that's affecting the law, which is bringing that around to us.
that's huge. That is
Yeah.
very huge. So we're at the end of the show right now, and this is something that we should take together. Um, I'm Rich. We're both Prayers Radio, and then you go to Prayers Radio and you see the YouTube channel. We're on Rumble now. We're on Twitch. We're on all these other ones, and you check them out. We're there right now. We're actually broadcasting to Twitch and YouTube right now because we feel this conversation is important to have with us and you, because a lot of times we ask questions that we're not really. What is science of mind? How does this work? What is love?
Oh, and also remember, if there's something heavy on your heart, this goes out to everybody in the broadcasting. Let us know. Contact Prayers Radio, and we will sit and know that for you, the truth of who you are if you're having difficulty knowing it.
Yeah, and also on Prayers Radio, you can click on it and you get the World Prayer Network, where you can actually have a phone call back to you,
Mm.
somebody to talk to you. CSL.org, which is Centers for Spiritual Living, has provided that for us because we're licensed to be, to use the philosophy, but you're licensed too to use the philosophy in terms of yourself, because you can do whatever you want in terms of your own prayer. But what was your site again?
IamSpiritAlive.com.
Okay, I suggest visiting that, and also it's on YouTube, and it's also in the show notes and on the website itself. So when you click on it, you'll see his thing also. So it's very Ernest T. Holmes. Mine's sort of, ooh, look at all this fantasy stuff, but he's quoting Holmes, and it's fun. But both are fun. But let's go ahead, and you want to close with the prayer for us, Paul, or?
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you. So I just invite everyone out there just to close their eyes. And as I close my eyes, it's just a reminder that everything that happens starts from within. And just know with me that there is one presence, one power, one infinite source of energy. We call it God, Spirit, whatever we label it, it is for us that one unifying power in, through, and as everything. And as I know that unifying power in, through, and as everything, I know it as each person here. That we are that unique experience of the divine that is calling us through us, as us. That everything we do, everything we say, everything we acknowledge is the divine. And so knowing that everyone here is that individualization of that one, I simply give great thanks for this time together. Great thanks for Rich, for myself, for being here to talk this through, to know better for ourselves as we know better for each one. And so it's with a grateful heart, I release it into the activity of the law, knowing that it always says yes. And I release it and let it be. And so it is.
So it is. Wonderful time. We will see you next week. We are Prayers Radio. Check us out and